Hello, everyone. This is Ben Jackson with the IPA. We are about to get started. We're going to wait here just a moment to give folks a second to get into the room. As a quick housekeeping item, we want to ask that if you can hear us, please put a message in the chat so that we can make sure that everything is working. We like to do this one bit of housekeeping as we get started, and then we will get rolling. Okay, good. People can hear us, so then we are going to go ahead here. It is just after 10 o'clock, and we'll get started. A couple more housekeeping items as we get going. First of all, we will be sending the deck to everyone, which will include contact information for follow-up on today's presentation. And as you've all seen, we do have a chat function, so as we get going, certainly put the questions that you may have into the chat, and we will take them all at the end, but we want you to certainly put them in there as they occur to you so that you don't forget them. And I want to take a minute now and introduce our two speakers. And speaking of questions, I want to say these are folks that I know very well. Lori and Jerry, I've worked with a long time. I've been on panels with them, and they are people that I go to when I have questions about the industry. And when I give you a little bit of their background, you'll understand why. But what I want to say is I relish the opportunity to try and stump them. So go ahead and put the questions in as they occur to you. But I have never been able to do it. And just recently I looked at something that I had an inkling wasn't correct in the IPA's glossary. And I sent it over to Lori and I said, I'm not sure what's wrong with this, but something seems off. And she was able to fix it immediately. So just as an example, and Lori Braidsky is the Vice President and Product Manager for Prepaid at FIS. She's been a co-chair at the U.S. Payments Forum. She was a co-chair of the IPA's Financial Crimes Task Force. And she's worked at a number of places throughout the industry and across the value chains. And Jerry Uffner, who's Senior Vice President and Head of Business Development at FIS, has also been one of these people who has experience throughout the world of prepaid and beyond. He's worked as an advisor to Greenlight Acquisitions. He was the former CEO of First View Financial. And again, as I mentioned, is somebody who has been involved in a number of different kinds of not only just prepaid innovations, but innovative types of products. So let me turn it over to Jerry and Lori, and then we'll come back at the end and we'll take your questions.
Well, great. Thanks, Ben. We are excited about talking to you guys today. And I had to, twist Jerry's arm a little bit to get him on video, but it's still worth it for sure.
My mom used to say I have a face made for radio. So,
Well, it looks pretty good from this direction. Okay, so let's talk about what we're here to talk about today. So I should have probably talked about the title. So of course, you guys we're going through a tough time, right? Not in the financial world, and we've been able to learn a lot through this at FIS, and so we just want to share with you kind of a lot of the things that we've learned through going through COVID and all of the things that have been happening, and how prepaid has helped quite a bit of our clients. And so we'll talk a lot about use cases and how businesses where prepaid might be able to help you. So as you guys know, the whole pandemic has really caused a lot of unemployment. One of the things that we like to talk about here at FIS is all the cool things we've been able to do to help people. And one of those is the pandemic EBT cards. And we've probably got about 20 or so states where we're putting out cards for people that needed a card. They need a way to get funds for their free lunch. So we've been able to distribute those cards, and then what this does is the families don't have to go to a school and pick up a lunch every day, which they could have to go on public transportation station, or if that's not working, they could have to walk. So it's really, really helped out a lot of people. We've got millions of cards that have gone out that way. So that's just one example of some stuff that we've been able to do during the crisis. And of course, everyone's kind of fighting in this time, and we'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide as well. A couple of the other statistics that have come out this year, about 40% of workers don't have $1,000 for emergency expenses. So one of the things that we've been doing is working with a lot of the municipalities and cities to also provide some stimulus money. And hey, Jerry, will you tell them a little bit about what we've done with the City of Jacksonville?
Yeah, we're quite proud to partner with the City of Jacksonville. They came to us a while back, and they were getting federal stimulus money and really trying to figure out how to get it into people's and needy people's hands as quickly as possible, at the same time, in an efficient and secure manner. And a big challenge was, how do they reconcile all the money? And it ended up being, the first tranche was $40 million. So I mean, that's part of the value proposition in general of prepaid, right? Is it makes transactions more efficient, more secure, a lower cost, and it gives you data at the back end to reconcile and study. And so that was a really important, those are really important benefits to the City of Jacksonville. So they came to us, and we I'll tout it was amazing collaboration with our team to get not only the program launched, but launched within a matter of a couple of weeks, and money into people's hands that really needed it. And those weren't unemployment dollars; those were basically the folks that had fallen through the cracks, more or less we call it gig kind of money, right? For folks that weren't employed, so they couldn't get unemployment at the same time. They needed money because they weren't working. So really, a great opportunity for us as a company, but really proud to have participated with the city on that.
Yeah, and we did that for a number of cities. So that was one that was, obviously we're headquartered in Jacksonville, so it was super important to our company and our CEO as well. So that one was really neat. So let's just talk a little bit about prepaid, and Jerry touched on a lot of these benefits. We see just so many things today that are affected by these particular items that we talk about all the time in prepaid. But because of the economy and all the things that are happening, it really focuses more on these benefits. And we, of course, strengthening security and reducing fraud. I mean, one of the things that prepaid allows you to do is just to track everything end to end. So as Jerry referenced as well, being transparent. I mean, you can see the money that's going from the card. You can see when the card is sent. Let's say it's a virtual card. Of course, then you're not seeing the card, but you're seeing that number. You see where it goes. You can track it from every step. You can find out when someone is spending that money, and then there's no longer any money on that card or on that account. So we really, with a check, so you compare that to a check, you're sending a check, well, and of course with the mail these days, I know my mail is incredibly slower now. So in snail mail, who knows when you might get it, right? So this is really a way to be able to track things so much more tighter. So that's going to help you to lower your costs, because you're not going to be creating a check or creating another check if someone can't find it, or issuing them a check if they come in and say, I never got my money. And now you don't know where that check is. Well, now you would know, and you'd be able to replace it if there was an issue. So that's all these things, the frictionless user experience. One of the things that we've really seen is that users want things quick, they want it instantly, and they really want it to be easy. So they want just a few steps to sign up. I mean, that's one of the things we can do that's just so easy, making it totally digital, if that's the experience that the customer wants.
And just to add, a county came to us recently, and they were actually cutting checks with their pandemic stimulus, and they were also going to the store and buying closed loop and open loop cards. So as you can see on the previous slide, there were 4 key items in there, and none of that solution didn't fit any of them, right? It had issues with security, fraud, the distribution, the costs were high, and it wasn't a very streamlined and efficient process. So anyway, just to add to that. I didn't mean to get you to go back on the slide.
Nah, no problem. I'm in control. I got it. So I think we kind of talked about this one. One of the things, obviously, at FIS, we run a couple prepaid card platforms. We've got a lot of flexibility on that platform that you'll hear a little bit later. But I think that cash flow crunch is something that we've seen now. So we've really seen an increase in people that need their money even faster than we had previously thought. I think we all understood and heard about the gig economy. We knew that the workers today want their money right away. But with this cash crunch, we've seen it's even more incredible than it was before. And the other thing that's really important with that is it's not just people that are gig workers or 1099 workers or casual workers, but it's also you and me that have salary jobs. So I want to get my money faster because I may have an unexpected bill, or let's say my husband lost his job, or let's say I've got somebody who's sick and I want to get that access to that money right now. So having your earned wages available right now when I want them is really important, even for a salaried employee. So our platform is able to provide those checks and that money quicker and when the consumer wants it, which is really important. I'm not going to read all these bullets to you, just a couple things on this one that I wanted to focus on. The improved cash flow, which we talked about, that transparency that we talked about, really that end-to-end digital workflow. So being able to see the card for the account when it's created all the way through to when the money is all spent off of it, so that you can end that card or reload that card as a business. And then as a consumer, of course, as well, just like your bank account, your Wells Fargo or Bank of America bank of account, we provide, everything is all exactly similar like that.
Yeah, sometimes when we think of prepaid, we think of plastic cards, right? And,
yeah,
the prepaid paradigms have shifted greatly in the last few years, and really the digital issuance is becoming the predominant method of getting prepaid cards into people's hands electronically and then provisioned into wallets for spend. So really cool stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that the cards can all be virtual digital until you want them to be plastic. And again, more, especially nowadays, because more and more merchants are enabling contactless within their stores. I see that there's going to be less and less plastic cards as we get to that point. So this has probably been the tipping point that is going to move merchants to enable contactless. So if you've got contactless, you've got a virtual card, then you can redeem your money and use your money at the point of sale. One thing I just want to touch on, I know it's Jerry's favorite subject, which is compliance and regulatory. We provide all of that. So obviously we're a big company. We have a lot of people that are focusing on those particular items. And we make sure that the programs are compliant, sometimes over compliant, which we found out today from one of our compliance officers. We were going a little above and beyond there, but that's good. And then we also do risk and fraud management. We've got a whole suite of products that provide that as well. And of course, these things are all super important. You don't want to have to worry about providing funds to someone who needs them, and then you're out of compliance for some reason. So Jerry, you want to say anything about compliance and risk, your favorite topic?
No, I was eating a quick snack, sorry.
Uh-oh. That's hilarious. Okay. Jerry, is this one still mine?
Yep.
Okay. So let's talk about the 3 key benefits of using cards. So we'll talk a little bit more about case studies here too. So this again kind of goes to that workflow. One of the other things I wanted to mention is same-day payment. So for payers and for suppliers. So another really great use case that we have with prepaid is being able to pay bills faster. So there's a lot of companies, let's say you're paying me and I'm going to give you a 10% discount if you pay within 7 days. So companies can actually save money and can negotiate lower rates based on if they're paying faster. And prepaid allows you to do that because, again, you've got that transparency. You can see where the money's going. We actually have tools so that you can see that. And then you can also pay them more quickly, which then, of course, keeps your suppliers happy. And again, it's all done, that can all be done through a virtual card seamlessly, and it's all pretty much an end-to-end adjudication or disbursement process.
Yeah, often we forget about the pay experience, but everybody wants to receive their funds quickly, and electronically is the preferred method to receive them these days.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone want to get a check these days? Nobody I know. Although I do like when you can, and we support this as well, when you take the picture of the check, like if your grandma sends a birthday gift and it's a check. I like that you can just take a picture and it just goes into your account. So all of that stuff is supported too. That's pretty easy stuff there. We've been doing that in prepaid for years. Let's see, was there anything else on that one, Jerry?
No.
That was just their vendor. Okay, so this one is really about the payroll and paying people quickly. We've got a couple things that are really important with this. One is that earned wage access, also called OnDemand Pay. So a great case of this and a way that we've seen this used is for tips. So let's say that I'm a driver and I'm driving, delivering pizzas, and I'm getting tips, cash tips. Today I may go to the store where I'm delivering the pizzas for, and it's the end of my shift, and I go in and I say, okay, I'm ready to tip out. Well, hopefully that restaurant is really busy and the manager's running around, and now they've got to stop what they're doing, go run a report, say, okay, you've got $172.22 in tips. That'd be a really good tip. Let's say it's Super Bowl, so there's a lot of people buying pizzas. So I go in, he's got to count all my money out, he's got to go to the register, get the cash. And the other really interesting piece of that is that today, pizza places especially, or any place where you order online, about 95% of their transactions are credit cards because they're done online. And so they don't even have that cash. So they've got to get extra cash in their stores to be able to pay out their tips to their drivers and their servers. So it's just crazy. So one of the things that prepaid does is, well, you've got them, they've got a prepaid card. So all the manager would do is verify the amount of the tips, which all comes from the point of sale. It's all automated, and just say, yes, pay that person. And then that person walks out of the store. They don't have to walk out with a bunch of cash. They're just walking out like they normally would, and the money is all on their card already. If they want to get cash, they can go to the ATM and get cash. So that's been a really great product for us, and just something that really helps the restaurant. It helps the manager, helps them with their cash flow, helps them to reduce their costs because they don't have to get that cash and get that Brinks truck to come in and bring them cash. And then it helps the server as well, and the driver, whoever. So that's one example there. I think that's that one. And then this one's also about a lot of CFOs, like they want to be able to see their cash position. They want to be able to see where they are with that account. And we kind of talked about this earlier, that check payments, you don't know when they're going to be cashed, right? So they kind of have this limbo period. And with prepaid, you'll be able to track that so much better. You can actually message the cardholder as well. So if the cardholder opts in and let's say they haven't used the money, then you can message them and say, hey, remember, you've got this money. Or like, let's say you've given them a reward of like a $50 Visa card or something, then you could message them and remind them, hey, you've got this money, so spend it, right? So, hey, let's do something fun with it like that. The reconciliations are a lot easier because, again, you've got that transparency. So it makes it just easier to take care of those books. And that's really important to people that work on finances and see spreadsheets all day long.
Especially with all the problems created by checks, lost checks, missing checks, stolen checks, wrong amount. Imagine if you send the wrong amount off by a decimal point or anything, then you have to turn around and cancel the check, and then you have to turn around and reissue a check. It's just a mess. So, wherever you find checks can be replaced by, prepaid technology to be more efficient, more secure, and lower cost.
Yeah. So, Jerry, these are your slides.
I will take it over. So FIS is a very large company that a lot of people haven't heard of, right? And if I go to cocktail parties or wherever, social distancing, of course, folks ask you what you do and who you work for, and a lot of folks have never heard of us. But we're a very large company that a lot of folks haven't heard of, and probably a lot of you have because you're in the payments industry. But we're sort of the company behind the company, right? We're generating 10 billion a year, very solid financial position, operating all over the globe with a ton of clients. The 20,000 clients doesn't include 1 million merchants also. So a very, very big company. From there, we're solid financially, which is really, really important these days with the swings that have occurred in the economy due to COVID and other factors, right? So industry expertise, we've been going at this for 40 years. Not me, but I'm close. But, at 55,000 employees globally and operating, again, all around the globe, a lot of facilities around the globe. So, when you look for a global solution, we're definitely a good choice there because we do operate around the globe. And proud to have a bunch of clients, 9 of the top 10 global banks, a bunch of credit unions, retailers, 18 of the top 25 retailers, and do a ton with the federal government, state, county, and city government. So, a very diverse portfolio of clients for us. Solution breadth, we've got over 400 solutions, right? And we, within those solutions, the really cool thing that we do, that Lori does in product and we do in business development and sales, is come up with a solution that ties in a bunch of solutions for a client. That one gets really cool, right? We'll talk in a minute about the whole solutions process, right? Because everybody's different. You may say it's a pay card or a general purpose reloadable card or a reward card or a disbursements card for an insurance company, right? But everybody's different. Everybody wants, something different, maybe a different process, a different fee, whatever. And so, really then combining the solutions is really a cool part of what we do with all of those solutions. And typically the solution combination includes, fraud, prevention, call center, a wide variety of solution sets to really add more value to the client and a better return on their investment with us. And then market reach, we do, you can stay on that, but nearly 1 billion cards around the globe. We're moving $9 trillion, which is a percentage of the world economy, right? We're a very, very important, cog in the payments world, right? And so we're, I forget what they called it. I have a letter that when we were in pandemic lockdown, but we were an essential business, right? So, very important part. And then heavily into loyalty components, right? Everybody wants loyal cardholders and customers, right? So we're heavily into loyalty. So just part of our market reach. And on the prepaid side, we're extremely large processor, right? And do well over 100 billion a year. We've been doing this for 20 years, and just the systems and the people have a ton of experience. And it really helps in developing a very customized solution because the platform over time has had so much investment in it over 20 years, wide variety of use cases. So really cool what we can do from there. And we're very good at conversions. We do them all the time. We have a great game plan, and it's something that's very important to folks in the industry, especially when you hear about conversions that have not gone as well, right? So on the prepaid side, way over 1 billion transactions per year, a very solid, reliable platform, right? A cool stat is we actually do an $8 billion batch for a client once a year, which is really cool. It's a stressful time, but we do that really, really well every year. It's a really cool stat. And then whatever the other ones that anyway, we touched upon that. And a bunch of card types supported.
Yes. Oh, and those are on the next slide too.
Yeah. So a very diverse portfolio of clients, really proud to participate in a bunch of different industries, right? So no matter what our industry our clients are in, we can not only develop a solution for you, but we've already developed solutions for you. Just some really cool things that we do for financial institutions, right? We've got many of the top banks as clients on the prepaid side, several 1,000 credit unions, really cool fintech partnerships. You don't see a lot of stuff on LinkedIn or see us out there, but we are behind the scenes providing technology to many or most of the fintechs around the globe. Really cool stuff that we do with the government. We're one of the largest EBT providers in the United States, and really participated, with the lunch programs for children that came up with, I forget the acronym, but
EBT.
Well, it was something else. It was FF. I had it written down here.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, at the pandemic EBT lunch benefits, but really cool what we did there, where there was a need when school shut down immediately. Hunger doesn't get shut down, and a lot of folks are really dependent on their schools to provide breakfast and lunch to children. And when that got shut down, there was an immediate need, and within a matter of weeks, we were able to provide a solution and get money into people's hands. A really cool thing we did there. And then we're very big into HSA and FSA cards, very heavily into healthcare. Our wallet technology is really second to none, and we do a lot of cool things with wallets. A large healthcare company. Again, if you look at an industry, the healthcare industry really needs help on the payment side, right? It's just sort of messy all around the board, and really a cool solution we've come up with for a large healthcare company is a wallet that's got really everything that you could want in visiting a doctor in your wallet, right? Your ID card and those kinds of things that are in your wallet, but multiple wallets for FSA, HSA, a regular prepaid debit card, or whatever you want to put into this wallet. So really cool thing that we do there. Do business with a lot of insurers. Who wants a check, right? A electronic prepaid card can be sent to you in near real time, right? Who wants to wait 7 to 10 days for a check to be mailed? And then doing a lot of cool stuff with retailers, with our partners in the Heritage WorldPay business that we merged with last year. So a lot of cool stuff and fun stuff we're doing for clients around the globe.
Yep. So just to kind of talk a couple minutes, kind of touch on a couple things that Jerry was talking about there. And we talked about the, adding in additional FIS assets into our solution. So one of the things that we can really do is provide very cost-effective solutions, because we've got so many different things that we do here at FIS. For our credit and debit clients, we can leverage a lot of that technology into prepaid, which is smaller and has lower margins than a credit and debit card does. So we can really package those things, make them more cost effective in prepaid, which really a lot of other processors can't do. And so some of those things are listed here, just leveraging our huge customer service capabilities. In some cases, you guys might not know that we just provide customer service to clients. So we can take these and you can pick just one of these things and we can do those really well for you, or we can do end to end. So it's definitely a lot of options there. So
just to add to that real quick is, we talk about scale, we do all these billions of transactions, but really what that means to clients is it's a can be very low cost, right? And will be very low cost, because with scale comes a lowering of costs. And that's something we leverage with not only being able to have a wide variety of solutions, but really focus on a low cost investment and a big return on investment for clients. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, exactly. So, so a couple things just to our platform, Jerry was talking about how we've been around for 20 years. So obviously the platform is very, very robust, has a ton of different capabilities and features and functions and all that kind of stuff on it, which has made my job like super cool. So just to touch on a couple of the things that we can do, in something that's really important and come up a lot this year especially is our restricted access network capabilities. So we can restrict a card to where it's used, specifically at a merchant, specifically at a terminal. We even can go down to adjudicating, one of my favorite words, to an actual product. So to Jerry was talking about the HSA, let's say that someone's on a healthy food campaign and they need to buy fresh fruits and vegetables, let's say at a farmer's market. So we can actually make sure that the consumer, and only provide that benefit to the consumer based on that particular item that they're buying within a basket. So it's pretty cool technology stuff that we're really leveraging. Of course, with WorldPay, we're able to do those things much easier than other companies can do, because again, we're seeing the transactions end to end. So that's one of the use cases that we have. Jerry, I know you talked on our wallet technology. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail on what we do with some of our wallets?
Well, I mean, wallet is a term thrown around pretty liberally, right? And mobile wallets especially, right? And it's really, a wallet is a repository for value. And the key thing, with a lot of mobile wallets out there, how do you get value into them, and how do you get value out of them? And that's where, with so many different solutions that we have, there's a wide variety of ways to get money or value into a wallet, right? From reload networks to ACH to API and a bunch in, conversion of loyalty points, coming in, and then for money going out, whether it's, ACH, P2P, or spend or cash access, just a wide variety. So we've got, many of our clients are using a multiple purse type of technology that we provide, and really they're all custom built, so difficult to really focus on one or two of them. Yeah. But I did want to talk about the card recharacterization, which is really cool. So basically you could have a single load card that Lori gets money on, and after she does something or achieves something, or whatever, her card can be flipped into a different characterization, a different set of criteria. Maybe it goes from a single load, and then it turns into a reloadable, and the person sent through, CIP and OFAC, right? And once they clear that, then now it's a reloadable card, and we can flip it into a different kind of program with different characteristics, which is really cool, and that can all happen in near real time.
Yeah, all you've got to do is determine what those characters are or that behavior is, and then it can turn into another type of card. So it's a ton of options and stuff within there.
I did want to say, a cool part of what we bring to the table is what we call our solutions process, right? I get frustrated when folks try to sell me something and they try to sell me the standard widget, and they're not listening to what I say or what I want, right? Same with clients. We go out of our way to really listen to what the client wants to achieve, and have lengthy sessions on the solution side to get the requirements and all their wants and needs, and even future wants and needs as we build out a solution. So really a cool kind of process that we do for our clients. So.
Yeah. I think we're at the end. So do we want to take questions? Ben, are you going to come back? Here
I'm
you
back. And so I want to lead off with a question. We have some questions in the chat, but let me lead off with something and talk a little bit about something that you guys alluded to in the beginning of the presentation. And you talked about how the research showed that there were people who couldn't afford an unexpected expense, that kind of thing. And I'm wondering, as you guys look around and you see the programs that you were working for before the pandemic and during the pandemic, and probably even after the pandemic, right? What does the big picture say about some of these things are just chronic problems that are, I think, made kind of more acute, right? I mean, this is, in other words, the things that you're describing are extremely helpful for the pandemic, but you guys were doing these kinds of things before and probably will be doing them after, correct?
I hope so.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that extension of we're always going to need to distribute benefits, we're always going to need to distribute payroll, we're always going to need to distribute rewards.
I mean, pre-pandemic, there obviously was a huge movement to get rid of checks, right? I had a T-shirt where, I hate checks, right? I have the same, anyway. So, but
Yeah.
we're all trying to get rid of checks, and the pandemic has just accelerated the movement, away from checks, right? And in getting rid of paper, which is fraud, costly, and reconciliation issues. And it's just accelerated that. And then part of that acceleration is, getting money in hands of the people quicker, right? Everybody, if I'm due money, I don't want to wait a week or several days. I want it right now. And so, with the tip out, the pay on demand, and other real time kinds of payment technology, you can get money into people's hands immediately. So, big change.
Yeah. I would say the other thing that I see more from our retail partners is how to further reduce their costs. So, how do we use prepaid to reduce their costs to pay bills? How do we use prepaid to reduce their costs of acquisition of new clients? So we're really seeing more of an integration into what we're doing on the WorldPay side to what we're doing on the FIS side. And I think because there's been more online shopping, our e-commerce, and using virtual cards, people get it better than they used to get it. So they're like, oh, we can just use a prepaid card. So like as an example for installment loans, which I think will just continue to grow because people want to buy something. They want to buy a couch, but they don't have the money now. So they're going to use an installment loan to pay for it. Well, that payment to the merchant can be facilitated by a prepaid card. And that is just really simple, fast, can automatically be issued by WorldPay, and that transaction is all done and completed, and the consumer's got their couch. So stuff like that we're really seeing.
Right. So another question, and this is something that I was thinking of too. Any thoughts on contactless and card-not-present ATM, and any crypto comments for prepaid in the networks?
I mean, on the ATM side, certainly everybody, you want to go contactless, right? And who wants to put a plastic card in a machine? But I say overall ATMs are, they're decreasing in usage greatly because who wants to get cash out and then have the same issues with cash in a environment of payments that's moving to contactless, right? And low touch or no touch, right? So, I see those technologies continuing, but the ATM usage is still going down and going down at a pretty high rate.
And do you find that your cards, your prepaid cards, work well with a lot of the existing mobile wallets, the Google Pays and the Samsung Pay and that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I'll let Lori's more into that than me, but they have to, right? I mean, especially as we talked about with all the trends, they're all moving in that direction, and they have to, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously not having to go to a branch to get a replacement card and having that immediately issued to you is a huge benefit, right? It's right there in your wallet. You can push it to your Google Wallet or your Apple Wallet or whatever. Some of the other things that we're looking at now is how to do that with government payments. So, like when specifically for EBT, that's a kind of a closed loop network. So it's kind of it's not a brand, right? It's like only those particular terminals. So how do we work with those wallets to be able to get them that same experience? So that's one of the new things that we're working on. So we definitely see a trend towards wallets, and it's just a function of all of the nitties and gritties that you've got to do to be able to put it into the wallet. So,
in fact, our EBT team did a great job, turning EBT cards into be able to be used online, right?
Yeah, that was super.
Typically, it's a plastic card used at pretty much a closed loop, network of merchants. But at the same time, we were all hibernating and told to stay at home, and a bunch of transactions were moving to online on Amazon and where pizza delivery and everything.
Yeah, Walmart.com. Yeah.
So anyway, to really a big movement there that we did in a matter of weeks again on that project.
Yeah, that was another really quick one.
So we've got another question here, and I think this will be interesting in light of some of the projects that you've guys done with state and county government agencies. But the question is, what best practices would FIS recommend for recent issues encountered in the mailing of stimulus benefits and cards, where the prepaid cards were discarded as junk mail and people were worried that maybe they were a scam card? How would you guys have maybe approached getting those cards into the hands of people and letting them know that these were the EIP cards that they should be expecting?
Well, I think first of all, the communication probably could have been improved, right, to those people that there was something coming to them and look for it soon, because there was pretty much of a gap once you knew you were getting money to all of a sudden you get a bunch of mail and you get a nondescript envelope that and you just throw it out, right? So I think there was a communication gap that needs to be bridged in those best practices, right? Is a big part of that, because it's hard. You get an envelope, you don't want to announce on here that, hey, here's your stimulus card with a bunch of money on it on the envelope, because fraudsters will steal those, right? So there's a lot in play here, but I think communication is a big best practice that needs to be worked on. Lori, I don't know if you have any.
I can't think of anything else other than what you said. I would like to see them not have to issue a plastic card, right? And them being able to issue it as a digital virtual card initially anyway. I hope that, and again, a lot of that is a function of just the government being able to understand it's the same as a plastic card and being able to increase that acceptance rate at merchants where it can be used everywhere. So I'm hoping that we get there where everyone understands that that's really the best way to do it, to get people funds right away and be able to use those funds right away. So hopefully we'll get there someday.
So our next question kind of relates to that, and it says, is your prepaid virtual card platform as fully functional and versatile as your plastic card platform?
Yeah, it's the same. So we don't have two different platforms. That's one of the really cool things about our platform, is that we actually, all of our cards are virtual cards. And then if you want to add a plastic card to it and add a fulfillment package to it, meaning a card and a carrier and a marketing piece, then you just add that to it. So it's already there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to get a card program set up? Say I was one of these counties, or I was a business, and I came to you guys and I said, I need to set up a fully featured program and I want to be able to have a digital wallet and I want to be able to do all of these things, what's the time from conception to cardholders in the card's hands?
Well, I mean, there's typically the long poles in the tent of the materials, the technology integration, and the complexity of the program. So really all depends on how quickly the client wants to move, and then if you want to move really rapidly in a matter of weeks, you have to decrease the level of complexity and go with more simpler connectivity and more standard materials. So it ranges from a matter of a couple of weeks to several months, depending on the complexity of the program.
Yep.
And then there's another question here, kind of a follow-up on the earlier one. Does your virtual digital platform offer greater visibility or versatility, rather?
So what was the question?
So does the virtual or digital platform offer greater versatility than I guess the plastic card platform?
Well, like Lori said, it everything starts with a virtual card on our platform, which is a really cool feature. And then there's an option with every program to get a plastic card. Now, a lot of programs just flow right through to a plastic card. Others stop at the virtual card, and then you've got to do certain things to then get a plastic card. Like if you want to keep the cost down in a general purpose reloadable card, right? Then you have a trigger there, maybe signing up for direct deposit or something, where then you get a plastic card. But as Lori said, the versatility is all the same. The program features are the same, and then you just add the plastic card to it.
Yep.
Or wearable. You get into wearables where certain use cases or a sort of wow factor, right? You don't have to necessarily even have a plastic card. You can have wearable technologies or other access device. We have a client that puts them on cups, right? So puts chips on cups. You can pay with your cup at a coffee shop, right? Just to make it easier. So you could have multiple access devices into a prepaid account or stored value account.
Okay. So another question is, with the stimulus funds, I read in the news there are quite a few folks with the wrong name printed on it. Did you guys hear this, and what is the solution to get these reissued? So if you had some kind of a glitch in a file, how hard would it be to update it and reissue?
I mean, you can correct things in near real time. I don't think we were involved with that one, but you have to go through a process of scrubbing data before you get it right, and then the corrections can be made in near real time, and that's where the virtual card comes in. If Lori got a card with the wrong name, you could actually reissue her one immediately, if need be, in near real time to. And we have to say near real time because real time doesn't really exist. But, so she could get a card in near real time.
I mean, one thing about if the name on the card is wrong, no one looks at that. So it doesn't really matter for the funds on the card. So it depends on it. To me, it would depend on if it's a long-term card, because no one looks at that anymore. It's not a requirement for that name to actually be on the card anymore. So
I think one thing the federal government struggled with is really just the database of people. Everybody's in disparate systems. And so as they found out, as you try to, distribute funds to 100 million people, you've got a database here, you got a database here, you got a database there, and you're trying to get money out to everybody. So I think moving forward, that needs to be, much better thought out and solution, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge with trying to move funds to that many people that quickly. Any other questions from the audience?
I had one, Ben. How do we get a cool bookcase backdrop like you?
Marry a librarian. That's how I did it.
That sounds too hard. I'm not going to do that.
Well, you know, it's a high bar, but you know.
Well, thanks everybody. Thanks
Great.
for putting this together, Ben. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And again, we will be sending out the deck along with follow-up information and contact information for FIS. And certainly if you have additional questions, you can feel free to email me and I can get a message over to Lori and Jerry as well. So thank you all very much for attending. And Jerry and Lori, thank you very much for presenting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.